When most people think of DUI, they think of driving under the influence. They think of driving meaning they're driving from one place to another. They're actually in the car is in motion, they're behind the wheel, they get stopped, they get arrested for DUI. But in some situations, a person doesn't actually have to be driving, meaning the car doesn't have to actually be in motion. The vehicle might be stopped, a person may have pulled over and off the side of the road, a person may have fallen asleep behind the wheel, a person may have fallen asleep in the middle of an intersection. We've seen some of that with some celebrities and athletes in Scottsdale recently. But a lot of it depends on a number of different factors, and we'll run through. But these factors are trying to determine whether a person is in what's called APC of the vehicle, whether they are in actual physical control of the vehicle, called APC. This is a phrase that we use a lot in the criminal defense world. We want to make an argument that the person was not actually in control, they had no ability to drive the vehicle, and so therefore if there's no driving, there can't be a DUI. There's no driving under the influence because there's no driving. The person was not in actual physical control of the vehicle. So if we look back at this case, it's from 1995, it's State versus Love. Case sites there. It's very easy to find if you throw it into Google. But the court lists some different factors that we can consider or look to as guidance when we're considering whether or not somebody is in APC of a vehicle. A couple things they look at. The court says this list is not exhaustive. It's not totally cumulative. There are other things that people on the jury can consider when they're doing this analysis. But some of the main factors are whether the vehicle was running or whether the ignition was on. That's going to help clarify whether that person could control the vehicle or not. Also, the location of the key. So if the key is in the ignition, the likelihood that that person has the ability to control that vehicle is higher versus if the key is out of the ignition or if it's outside the window or if it's in the back seat. Same with the location of the driver. Where is the driver? Is the driver in the back seat trying to get some rest? Is the driver walking around outside? Is the driver in the passenger seat, or is the driver right behind the wheel where he is in actual physical control? Meaning if he moves the levers, if he can put his foot on the gas pedal, is the vehicle going to go or not? Same as the driver awake or asleep. As I said, a lot of these cases, somebody pulls over and they just fall asleep. So when you're sleeping, it's harder to be in actual control of the vehicle because you're sleeping. You're not awake and voluntarily moving around to control the vehicle. Whether the headlights are on or not, okay, in a nighttime situation, if the headlights are on, you may be more capable of driving. If the headlights are off, you may be resting and pulling the vehicle off the road. The vehicle is not intended to be driven at that point in time. Same, the location of the stopped vehicle. So whether the vehicle is stopped in the middle of the road, whether the vehicle stopped in the middle of an intersection, whether the person pulled off to the side of the road and actually began winding down their vehicle, and whether or not that was done voluntarily. So whether or not the vehicle was pulled off the road voluntarily or whether it kind of went careening off the road and got caught in a ditch or something like that. Same, we want to consider the date, time, and the weather. That helps provide context for the other two factors, but more specifically whether the heat was on or the air conditioning was on. That may indicate that the person was looking more for climate control. So if it's very cold outside, they had the heat on to stay warm, but they weren't intending to drive the vehicle. If the air conditioning was on because it's very hot out, this is Phoenix, that may also indicate that they didn't want to actually drive the car, they just needed to cool off. And same whether the windows are up or down. These are just the different factors that the court lists out in the case, but there are many, many other factors that the jury can consider. The other important thing as well is to decide and review what the explanation is for each one of these things. Did the person who's being charged with the DUI, did they have a good explanation for these things? And if they did, the jury can consider all of those things. So what the case is saying, you need to consider all of these things in totality. You need to review the entire case. They're not going to give us a black and white line that this constitutes driving or this constitutes actual physical control and this does not. They're saying the jury can review all of the factors and make a determination. There's some bad case law out there on these issues where somebody wanted to turn their car on just so they could charge their cell phone and make a phone call. The courts and the judges and the juries and everybody found that that person was in actual physical control of the vehicle. But there are other situations where an individual was actually outside of the car was on, but he was outside of the car. And so he wasn't driving the car. So there are a number of different ways that you can look at each one of these things. It's important that you look at it in totality on a case-by-case basis. If this situation may apply to you, definitely give us a call. We offer free case evaluations. We can review these different factors and the facts of your case to see if there's a solid defense there. Remember, this is something that is very important. If you are not driving the car, if you're not in actual physical control of the DUI, of the car, a DUI may not matter at all. There may be no driving. It doesn't matter what your blood level was, what your alcohol content was. If there's no driving, there may not be a DUI. So I hope you found this video helpful. If you have any questions, give us a call. Thanks for watching.